So why don't you think Hercules worked out with Jim Crockett? I mean, in 83, they had a lot of momentum. You know, Starrcade is obviously going to be a huge event, turn away business. But he doesn't last long there. In 84, he's with Bill Watts. Or is that just the nature of the business at the time? You're trying to bounce around to these different territories.
Well, it's the nature of the business, but also Herc didn't have a whole lot of charisma, especially on the microphone. Herc was not a good talker, and quiet guy, looked like a just brick shit house, but he didn't have that charisma. He really didn't have that. Oh my God, and he couldn't talk. He just was kind of a really nice guy, mild mannered and, down here and everything. So he couldn't connect with the audience. And the mask was the best way to get him experience and get him comfortable. Right. And then later on, put him with managers.
So in 84, he's once again donning a mask for Bill Watts. Mr. Wrestling 2 had recently turned on his tag team partner, Magnum TA, and he became a heel in the process, of course. So Mr. Wrestling 2 renamed himself simply Mr. Wrestling and got a new protege, Mr. Wrestling 2, who was in fact Hercules under a mask, but they referred to him as Mr. Wrestling 3 in the magazines to avoid confusion amongst their readers as to, who's who. So Mr. 2 is going to be seconding Mr. Wrestling in his feud with Magnum TA. And then later, of course, Herc unmasks and competes once again as Hercules Hernandez. He winds up feuding with Jim Duggan as Jim Cornette's bodyguard. This is probably when you first see him, you would say?
Yeah, it was when I first met him, when he was in the Mid-South Territory and was coming around. He was, again, a hulk of a man. He was a big, impressive-looking guy that looked very intimidating. But again, once you got to know him, he was really a very mild-mannered, soft-spoken, just prince of a human being.
Now, I guess the question is, we know he was wearing a mask, but our man started to lose his hair here. If you take a look at pictures of Hercules, you could say that maybe he had a 4 head, maybe he had a 5 or 6 or even a 7 head. But the reality is 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. And more than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer from some form of male pattern baldness, not just Hercules. But that's why we recommend Keeps. You see, Keeps has the only 2 FDA approved medications that can prevent hair loss. Think about that. In all the world, there's only 2 medications that can do that. Keeps has both. What else does Keeps have? More 5-star reviews than any of their competitors. You see, Keeps offers a simple, affordable, and stress-free way to keep your hair. They've got convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months. And they've even got 24/7 care and support. You see, Keeps has a network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and care specialists to support you in making your hair goals a reality. Treatments start at just $10 a month, and Keeps offers generic versions of those 2 FDA approved medications to prevent hair loss. So the treatment plans are affordable. How affordable? Well, about typically half the cost of the pharmacy prices. Keeps has everything your hair needs delivered straight to your door with discreet packaging and, more importantly, proven results. So remember, prevention is key. Treatments can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast. And when it comes to your hair, save more, spend less. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/wrestle to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/wrestle to get your first month free. That's keeps.com/wrestle. So Bruce, as we're talking about bouncing around the territories, you get a chance to see him interact with a lot of different personalities. We talked about Harley Race. We talked about Jody Hamilton. Now we're talking about Mr. Wrestling 2 and now Jim Cornette. That to me just feels like money, doing something with Hercules and Cornette. What'd you think of that pairing?
Well, I think that was the first time that you really got to see Hercules blossom a little bit, because he had someone that could talk for him, and all that Herc had to do was perform in the ring, which Herc could perform in the ring. He definitely could. And Cornette as a mouthpiece was instant heat. And that combination definitely worked. Being able to be at the side of Johnny Walker, Mr. Wrestling 2, he would learn an awful lot. Oh my God, he was under the learning tree there, even though Johnny could be an absolutely miserable guy. You're not going to hear a lot of people say a lot of nice things about Johnny Walker. We're not hear anyone say anything bad about Herc. But the combination was great. Cornette had the Midnight Express, but Cornette was such a big mouth that he needed that extra protection, hence the bodyguard of Hercules Hernandez. So it fit.